The landscape of the NFC West just felt a massive tremor, and the source is coming straight from the Big Apple with ripples reaching all the way to Thousand Oaks. I am Jordan Rodrigue, and I have been working the phones all morning to figure out exactly what this means for Les Snead and Sean McVay. We are talking about a generational talent suddenly becoming available in a way that rarely happens in this league. Before we dive into the internal salary cap sheets and the locker room impact of this bombshell news, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video so you never miss an insider update on our Rams. Dexter Lawrence is officially at a breaking point with the New York Giants, and the All-Pro defensive tackle has formally requested a trade after 2 years of agonizing contract negotiations that have gone absolutely nowhere. My sources tell me Lawrence is done waiting for a deal that reflects his status as one of the most dominant forces in the interior of the defensive line, and he is taking the nuclear option by skipping all off-season workouts until he is moved or paid. For the Rams, this is the exact type of player that usually gets Les Snead into the draft room with a fuck-them-picks mentality, because finding a guy who can anchor a front and disrupt the pocket like Lawrence is nearly impossible. We have seen this front office operate with extreme aggression when a blue-chip player hits the market, but the timing of this request creates a massive dilemma for the Rams front office. The Giants are reportedly looking for a late first-round or early second-round selection in return for the 30-year-old standout, which is a price tag the Rams have paid before for stars like Jalen Ramsey or Matthew Stafford. However, the situation inside the building at SoFi Stadium is much more complicated than it was during those previous championship runs. While the fan base is screaming for a disruptive force to fill the void left by recent departures, the financial gymnastics required to fit Lawrence under the cap are daunting to say the least. Lawrence is currently playing on a deal that is far below his market value, and any team trading for him would need to immediately hand over a massive contract extension to keep him happy and on the field. The Rams are currently navigating a very specific window where they are trying to balance immediate contention with long-term sustainability, and adding a massive defensive tackle contract could throw their entire 5-year plan into complete disarray. The question everyone in the league is asking is whether the Rams will revert to their old aggressive ways, or if they have finally learned the value of holding on to their high-value assets. But as I dig deeper into the current roster construction and the recent moves made by this front office, there is one specific name that changes the entire math of this potential trade and makes it much more complicated than a simple swap of picks for players. It all comes down to how they value their current secondary and the massive investment they just made elsewhere. Does adding an all-pro like Lawrence justify losing high draft picks again? I want to see your thoughts in the comments right now because the front office is listening to the pulse of the fans. Is this the move that puts us back in the Super Bowl? Drop a comment and let us discuss the cost of greatness. Trent McDuffie is the name that is currently sitting at the center of the Rams' financial planning and is the primary reason why a pursuit of Dexter Lawrence is looking less likely by the hour. When the Rams committed significant capital and draft assets to secure McDuffie, they weren't just buying a lockdown corner. They were making a statement about where they believe the modern NFL defense is won and lost. My sources inside the facility indicate that the coaching staff is enamored with the versatility McDuffie brings to the back end of the defense, allowing them to be more creative with their pressure packages without needing an elite, high-priced nose tackle to occupy double teams on every single snap. By investing so heavily in McDuffie, the Rams have effectively signaled a shift in philosophy, away from the star-studded defensive line model of the past decade. Furthermore, the front office is already crunching the numbers for upcoming extensions that are non-negotiable for the health of the franchise, specifically for breakout stars like Puka Nacua, who will soon command top-of-the-market money. If the Rams were to trade for Lawrence, they would be forced to potentially sacrifice their ability to keep their young offensive core together or risk falling into the same cap hell that forced them to strip down the roster just 2 seasons ago. We also have to look at the current depth chart, where Poona Ford is already signed to a much more team-friendly contract. While Ford is not the all-pro that Lawrence is, the internal evaluation is that the drop-off in production does not justify the $60 million difference in contract demands and the loss of a first-round pick. Les Snead has become much more disciplined in his old age, focusing on finding value in athletic traits in the draft rather than chasing the shiny object on the trade market. The Giants are holding firm on their asking price because they know Lawrence is a blue-chip asset, but the Rams are no longer the desperate team looking for a quick fix. They believe they have built a sustainable winner through the draft and smart, targeted free agent additions. But don't think for a second that this means the Rams are standing still. There is a specific strategy at play here that involves a very different path for the defense in the coming months, and it highlights a major change in how Sean McVay wants this team to look in the post-Aaron Donald era. The reality of the situation is that the Rams are entering a new phase of team building that prioritizes the long-term window over the short-term splash. In my conversations with team officials, the focus remains squarely on the development of their young defensive front, rather than a blockbuster trade that would mortgage the future. While the name Dexter Lawrence carries immense weight and would immediately make this defense more formidable, the front office is looking at the totality of the roster. They have seen the impact of having a star like Trent McDuffie in the secondary, and they believe that a balanced defense is more resilient than one top-heavy with massive contracts. The future of this franchise depends on their ability to pay players like Puka Nacua and keep their offensive line intact for Matthew Stafford's remaining years. Bringing in Lawrence would likely mean letting 2 or 3 other high-level starters walk in free agency next year, a price that Sean McVay and Les Snead seem unwilling to pay at this juncture. Instead, expect the Rams to continue monitoring the mid-tier trade market or looking for veteran cuts later in the summer to bolster the defensive line depth. The strategy has shifted from buying a championship to building one through consistency. This trade request from Lawrence is a fascinating test of the Rams' new resolve. 2 years ago, they would have been the first team to call the Giants with an offer. Today, they are the team doing the math and realizing that the best move might be the one they don't make. The impact on the locker room is also a factor, as the team has cultivated a culture of young, hungry players who have earned their spots. Dropping a massive personality and salary like Lawrence into that mix could have unintended consequences for the chemistry they've worked so hard to establish. As we move closer to the draft and the summer program, the Rams will likely stay the course, trusting their scouting department to find the next generation of impact players rather than paying a premium for a veteran who is already 30 years old. It is a sign of a maturing organization that knows exactly who they are and where they are going, even when a tempting star becomes available on the open market. Ultimately, the Dexter Lawrence situation serves as a perfect barometer for where the Los Angeles Rams stand in their evolution. Gone are the days of reckless spending and trading every first-round pick for a veteran star. What we are seeing now is a franchise that has learned the hard lessons of the past and is committed to a more surgical approach to roster management. By passing on a trade for an all-pro like Lawrence, the Rams are effectively betting on themselves and their ability to develop talent from within. This is a huge statement of confidence in the coaching staff and the scouting department. It shows that they believe the foundation they have built with players like Trent McDuffie and Puka Nacua is strong enough to compete with the best in the NFL without needing a blockbuster savior. For the fans, it might be disappointing not to see a big name arrive in Los Angeles today, but it should be encouraging to see a front office with a clear, disciplined vision for the future. This team is being built to win not just this year, but for the next 5 years. The meaning behind this restraint is clear. The Rams are no longer just chasing rings. They are building a dynasty. Every decision made in the front office right now is designed to ensure that the Rams remain a powerhouse in the NFC West for a long time to come. It's about being smart, being patient, and knowing when to strike. This news from New York is a distraction, but for Les Snead, it's just another data point in a very long game. Do you agree with this more conservative approach, or should the Rams go back to their aggressive all-in mentality to maximize Matthew Stafford's window? I want to hear your most honest takes in the comments below. This is the kind of debate that defines an off-season, and I'm here for all of it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Rams' inner workings, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us bring you more exclusive insider content like this. I am Jordan Rodrigue, and I will keep my ear to the ground to bring you the very latest from inside the building as soon as it happens. Stay tuned, because in this league, the next big move is always just one phone call away.